Hey everyone, welcome to Otaku Talk. It's me, your boy, your host, OD, and today we'll be talking about and reviewing and analyzing chapter 231 of Dr. Stone. Not gonna lie to you guys, this was a very perplexing chapter for me. I had kind of ambivalent views on it. I like just a lot of mixed feelings in general. Obviously this series is coming to an end. I don't know what else to say about it. This series is coming to an end. The author is really wrapping things up here, and of course some of what's happening narrative wise is a result of that, but I don't know. I just feel a type of way about the direction this series is heading. Anyway, if this is your first channel, if this is your first time on this channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you would like, share, subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. Anyway, without much further ado, let's get into the review. Alright, so chapter 231, A Future to Get Excited About. So Senku has encapsulated himself within the thousands of, not hundreds of thousands of Medusas on the moon, and he's discussing something with them, right? And according to Ryusui and Kohaku, he's been in there for quite some time. We don't know exactly how long, but a long ass time. And so from our perspective, what we see is him having a conversation with them. And one of the main questions he asked is something I myself was wondering is, how are they able to float around and fly and stuff like that, right? And so that's not an answer we get this chapter, just the inquiry that Senku makes, right? And so he does say something that intrigues me immensely, and that's he's very interested in the anti-gravity. He has plans for the anti-gravity. So I sat down and I thought to myself, okay, what use would the anti-gravity be for Senku? And the only two things I could think of, and I would love any and all, support and help in the comment section if you guys have theories of your own. But my theories are, one, space travel, right? Anti-gravity technology would be phenomenal for space travel. And now maybe Senku can travel with the Medusas from various places, right? We already saw that it's possible for him to petrify himself, depetrify himself in space travel. So maybe, the thing for Senku is going to be going out into vast space and learning about and exploring, whole new civilizations and alien technology and stuff like that, and maybe acting like the Silver Surfer, the herald of the Medusas. That way the Medusas don't just show up somewhere and just start petrifying places all willy-nilly and stuff like that. No, like they show up and then Senku goes, hey, I'm an ambassador for the Medusas. They're here to bring you the gift or whatever. If you choose to take it, you can. If you don't, blah blah blah. We humbly request that you help us out with materials, right? Speaking of which, I don't even know if other life forms would trust it, right? Because like I said in one of my videos, I forget the exact name of the theory, but the theory pretty much states, there's a theory that pretty much states that an alien life form visiting us, an advanced alien life form visiting us, is most likely to be hostile than not, right? And honestly, it makes a lot of sense to me. Like, I can imagine like the US just showing up, like when the US finally has the capabilities of space travel, I could totally see us going somewhere, and if their technology is not at least on par with ours, I definitely see us doing some Manifest Destiny on their ass. Like, that's just something that we as humans have seen, and I could see us doing to others. So I wonder how like receptive alien species would be to this kind of proposal, right? Or would they find it as preposterous as me, the reader, and the characters in the series like Senku about being petrified and being like, yeah, that doesn't sound like a nice way of living at all. So also, when they're so I never even got into the second thing I thought the anti-gravity could be used for. Maybe he could develop some kind of suits or clothing or technology that grants anti-gravity to humans, and this would be very vital to society, because first of all, we have so many petrified statues and whatnot trapped underground, trapped underwater and stuff like that. So anti-gravity technology and vehicles and stuff would be very extremely useful in being able to mount all these grand stage rescue missions for all the people that are petrified. Because I think a lot of people forgot, but like 99.9% of the planet is still like 99.99999% of the planet is still petrified, right? So like that's something that we're eventually going to do. My big brain idea the entire series up until now was that Senku was going to do some Project Harpa shit where like they put the Medusa revival fluid into clouds and have it rain worldwide. I thought that was going to be the simplest, the most rational, the easiest solution for them to do. I also think it's going to, be a little bit dangerous because, what about the people that are missing arms and stuff like that? They're going to be, depetrified with like missing body parts, but, it's not going to be perfect. So yeah, those are the two things. Oh, and I guess it would also be, useful in construction, not having to rely so much on like cranes and other material. You could float up. You can, while you're building stuff, you can float. Maybe you can make the materials you're using a little bit lightweight or something like that. So I do think that there's, a good amount that can be done with anti-gravity, but I specifically want to know what Senku has in mind, because I'm sure whatever it is, it's going to be extremely vital towards the future of mankind and stuff like that. So while talking about the anti-gravity, the Medusas are like, we can take your form, which I don't know, was kind of weird to me, was kind of stupid. I was like, you guys, first of all, you look absolutely terrifying. You look scary. You look like some nightmare fodder. I don't know, maybe like the way they perceive images is kind of like an X-ray, because they didn't actually make like Senku's image. They made like his skull. I don't know what's going on with me today, guys. I'm out here like butchering words. They made his skull, his skeletal system. I think I was trying to choose between skeleton and skull, and God came up with skell. But yeah, they made his skeleton, and it looked like they made like the outside of his suit. So maybe they only see like hard material, not soft. I mean, it would make sense as they're mechanical, and maybe they're used to like only being able to view mechanical species and stuff like that. Also extremely curious as to if we are the only like flesh species they've seen, or what other species they've met, because the way they have made it sound is that they have like done this to other planets before, and humans have taken the longest. So I wonder if we're ever gonna circle back to that, but I'm very curious about that. Anyway, more or less negotiations break down, and it seems like for whatever reason the Medusas want to petrify the planet one more time and then just fuck off and go continue their mission to like seek out other advanced civilizations to create new Medusas for them, which, by the way, I just cannot comprehend the decision making and logic behind these Medusas, because we have kind of already made it clear at this point that no, we are not fans of this whole petrification thing. We do not want to be petrified. That we are also willing to try to like figure out like how to help you, how to work with you. So why are they gonna like, no, it's cool, we're just gonna leave, fuck you, we're gonna petrify you guys again, even though you clearly don't want the gift of immortality, you clearly don't want it in this form, you guys don't like this, we don't care, we're just gonna do whatever, right? So glad that wasn't Ryusui, it was Stanley. It was Stanley that was there, and Stanley is just ready with the like net gun grenade launcher, and like the Medusa has to kind of think about it. He's like, we're gonna lose a significant amount of our our brothers, our Medusas, if they utilize this weapon. And Stanley's straight up like, if you don't start none, won't be none. Like if you don't attack us, if you don't petrify us, I'm not gonna attack you. Literally, this is just a deterrent. I do not want to use this, so please don't make me use this. To which they settle down, calm down a little bit, and then they make somewhat of a deal, right? One of the Medusas is like, all right, look, the rest of us are going to go because there is a not less than 0%. There is an almost 0% chance that you guys are going to be able to do anything. You're going to have the technology to replicate us. etc., blase, blase, blah. But you know what? I'm gonna go with you, right? And I just found that incredible because, basically they got talked into it by Senku. He's like, look, man, we came out complete Stone Age, didn't have nothing to our name, and with just this tool, this one hammer, 10 years later, we were able to get to the moon. Like, tell me that's not impressive. And I'm sure, like, logically, like, processing wise, the Medusa thought about that and like, 10 years with their clearly, like, antiquated, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Stone Age technology. They were able to make it to the moon. You know what? Yeah, I do kind of see where they're coming from. Yeah, they do have something going for them. And something very interesting that intrigues me is that he says he says that he is okay doing it with, because he is basically fascinated. He's intrigued. And once again, I'm so confused as to the nature of these Medusas because they don't seem like AI. They truly don't seem like AI. I made a joke about this like 2 videos ago, but they more so now than ever really seem like Transformers, where the Transformers aren't AI. Like, I hope everyone knows that the Transformers aren't AI, or at least in the live action movie they're not. They are mechanical beings. They are actual mechanical beings created by the Allspark with cognizance and sentience and what have you. They are actual living, thinking, beings. They're not a fake subconscious and whatnot. And so it seems like the Medusas are that because they have constantly and repeatedly shown behaviors and attitudes that are that of living, thinking beings, not binary systems, not creatures just kind of like going off like a logic processor. Like if A equals B, blah blah blah, then result C, blah blah blah, yada yada. Like, no, they're capable of complex thought and decision making, and honestly being whimsical, and honestly being angry, right? And so one of the Medusas is essentially like, the rest of my brethren are gonna go, but I solely alone will stay with you. That's not gonna hurt our numbers. Which, by the way, to me, that's crazy because the Medusas have said repeatedly, do you want to die? Do you want to die? Do you want to die? The desire of every species is, to survive, to live forever, yada yada. And this specific Medusa is taking it upon himself to sacrifice his life, which is crazy to me because, like, how are you gonna sit here and call the humans crazy, illogical, and what have you, but then risk your own life, right? And I guess it's one of those things where he's okay doing it because it continues, it continues the life of the rest of his brethren, the rest of his species. So maybe the sacrificing one for the greater is kind of what's going through its head right now. But I did find that to be kind of hypocritical, right? What else about the Medusa? Oh, and just by the fact, like, how I talked about earlier that they were intrigued and that's why he's doing it. I like the fact that, he was like, I really want to see what you mean by using our technology to make other technology or make Earth out of this world. And that's such a niche, like, cliche phrase for us, but they don't know what out of this world means. Like, for us, that's a weird, what's the word I'm looking for? An analogy, right? Not an analogy, euphemism. You guys know what I'm getting at, right? It's a saying. It's a weird saying native to us, native to our culture. And so for him to be like, I'm curious what you mean by out of this world. So anyway, they squash that. The Medusa they take the Medusa with them in the capsule, and don't get me started on how funny it was that they painted a little face for the Medusa on there. I thought that was hilarious. I did have a bit of a question as to why it was necessary to bring this one Medusa when there are thousands of Medusas on Earth. My theory right now is simply that they are too rusted, that they are too worn down to be of use. You know what I mean? But potentially. But like, my thing is like, if you pop in, you clean them off, you pop in a new battery, shouldn't they be good as new? Couldn't you just go to Earth, replace all those Medusas down there, not all of them, but a lot of those Medusas down there with a new gem, with a new crystal, put them in a vacuum tube, And just, before they like detonate or do anything crazy, be like, hey, we're trying to talk, calm down, yada yada, blah 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 blah. Also, as far as dissecting, I feel like the one to dissect isn't the one that's been communicating with you, it's the ones down there. Even though Senku has already been dissecting the ones down there, I think the only really new better thing that he'll get from the Medusa that he's taking down is the fact that, one, it hasn't gone through oxidation, it hasn't gone through erosion. It's clearly functioning as well as it can function at the time, and its crystal is still using its native crystal. It's still, it's not going to have any signs of wear or tear. It can communicate to Senku while he's like, experimenting on it, which once again, I feel like the other ones could have if he gave him a new battery and put him in a vacuum tube. I was going to say maybe it's kind of like humans, where if you're brain dead for a while, even if you can get their heart beating or something like that, you're still brain dead. Maybe, after, the battery of the Medusas die, they no longer are quite the same. But the Medusa we took to the moon, the Medusa that spoke to us as well, was one of the same Medusas on our planet that we placed a new battery in and took to the moon, and it was capable of talking and communicating just fine, albeit it did have a slightly different personality that I'm kind of sad that the Inagaki didn't explore here. Like, I've really been waiting this entire time to figure out why the Medusa we brought was so hostile, was so willing to like petrify them, and why the one that we're gonna take now was a lot chiller, a lot cooler, a lot like more reserved, right? And so I'm really hoping we get more about the personalities of the Medusas later. Anyway, the last thing I want to talk about in this review is the origins of the Medusas. Not gonna lie to you, my absolute biggest disappointment, my absolute biggest pet peeve. Let me tell you why. Story-wise, it makes sense. You know what I mean? Story-wise, it makes sense. Humans, we don't know where we came from. I watched a movie a while back. I think it was part of the Alien and Predator series called Prometheus, and essentially we're told that like we were created by aliens, and there's no higher power, no significant other higher power, and that shit fucked me up. Another great recommended if you haven't seen it, but I hope you have the stomach for it, series that I've also read is called Gantz, or Gantz, whatever you pronounce it. And oh shoot, all right, spoiler alert, do not listen any further because you're gonna get spoiled. But at the end of that series, we also find out something extremely similar to Prometheus, where there's no meaning, there's no special meaning to life, there's nothing like there. Literally, our lives can be created and destroyed on a whim by aliens, and like that's kind of how we were placed here in the first place. And so it's really important to me to know the origins of these Medusas, especially because of what I was saying earlier about how they have these complex personalities, how they're not simply like, they don't simply seem to be AI. And I'm really curious where they came from, and the fact that they don't know where they came from, I find to be such a disappointment and such a cop-out, even though Y-Man's explanation makes perfect sense. He's like, do you know who created you? Do you know where you came from? Same deal here. But it rubs me the absolute wrong way, and I can't get over it. Like, yes, logically, consistently, it checks out. None of us know our origins, and it makes sense that the Medusas don't. But for them to be, as long as we can assume them to have been around, for their technology to be as advanced as it is, I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way. Anyway, it seems like after the resolution to this arc, well, not the resolution to this arc, but the resolution to this moon travel is, out the way now. And now we are going to be returning back to Earth on a spaceship, which, that happened really quickly. We've been on the moon for all of 3 chapters and whatnot. I know I sound like a broken record, but like, man, this series is moving at like light speed, and it I've just been enjoying it so much. And not only do I hate that it's coming to like an end, but I hate that it's coming to an end so quickly. But I'm excited to see all the things that Senku does with the technology. I'm excited to see what further information we learn from the Medusas. I'm excited to see, how we use the technology we get from the Medusas to create a whole new world, to create a whole new technology, to rebuild the world better than it ever was. Because I'm sure we're not gonna like go back to how it was. We're gonna go back to being better, way better than what we had before. I can't wait to see the reactions of everyone on Earth and how they react to Medusas. And honestly, I feel like this has been such a waste. But you know, Chrome has been touted has this super ingenious scientist, right? In my opinion, way more ingenious than Senku ever could be. The difference between Senku and Chrome has always been that Senku has just been using, you know, the blueprint, the information that has been left for him by previous scientists. Senku hasn't ever really done anything kind of new or groundbreaking. He's just done, you know, what's already been shown to be capable of being done. Chrome, on the other hand, has constantly been coming up with ideas that are completely foreign to him that he didn't know existed. And so I was really hoping that was going to play, you know, a major role in the story, at least towards the end. Maybe it still will with, you know, the technology that they develop. But man, if the series ends and we don't get more from Chrome, because Chrome is a legitimate genius. Like Senku is one type of genius, but like a savant of sorts. But like then you have Chrome that's just this like ingenious motherfucker, right? So yeah, I'm just gonna leave the review there. What did you guys think? Are you sad the series is coming to an end? Are you satisfied with the series though thus far? Are you cool with the Medusa's motivations and actions? Does it make sense to you why they're bringing this one Medusa? I mean, once again, it makes sense to me, but also I feel like they should still, you know, utilize the corpses of all the other Medusas. And now that we know that, you know, putting them in a vacuum tube is going to, you know, stop the poison, maybe, you know, try to make a chamber, a giant vacuum tube chamber for the rest of the Medusas and save them for their fate as well. Do you really think Senku is going to go through with replicating these Medusas? Because honestly, they're kind of scary, and honestly, they kind of do things on a whim, and it would be kind of bad for him to like. It would be like creating a bunch of Ultrons, right? Potential monsters that could create armies and like go and like, you know, put their iron rule on other planets, right? Maybe, you know, maybe Senku could be working with monsters. We don't really know enough about them for us to be trusting them. I think Senku is just super excited to learn more about science, to be at the forefront of it, right? But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. I really hope you guys liked and enjoyed this review. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and have a great rest of your Sunday. Peace.